when we say the deep state, if you will, or these leaders or these elite people are evil, right? I've asked myself the question, great, what does that mean, right? And then we're going to have subjective arguments about what evil is. And then I like to sit with people and I like to go, okay, so go down the line. Where do we find the line where it's not evil in an action, right? So find the line where evil is and isn't. And it becomes a futile exercise, because then when you take that line and you go to somebody else, it's not there. So I start going to the question, okay, does it help us to say, okay, well, that's just evil? Not entirely, right? What the satanic ritual abuse, the stuff that we learn from Annika Lucas, which if it's all in fact true, which in my heart, it feels that way, especially from a journalistic point of view as well. But we can't prove what she's saying, right? Just to leave that on the table. But when you do a comprehensive understanding of what she's saying and what many psychologists have searched, where you start to see there's an obsession within these elite circles with the occult, with abuse. When we learn about what's going on with Epstein, and we learn that they have these honeypots, they have these pedophile situations, they have these verifiable things. We don't know the whole story, we don't know how it all functions, but we know that it's there. Then we start asking the question, what is the purpose of the satanic ritual abuse, of the grooming, right? What does that do? Well, we learn that what they're essentially doing is systematically traumatizing people. Well, what happens to a traumatized person? Their nervous system begins to shift. What happens when their nervous system shifts? They lose connection with other people, right? This is all physiological fact, right? So when we start to understand that our executive functioning changes when we become deeply traumatized, we close off to our emotions, we close off to connection with others, and we develop what we call sociopathic tendencies, we start to understand why leaders are the way they are and why they go through what they're going through. So then we ask the question, okay, are these leaders evil? Well, that's one way of looking at it. Another way of looking at it is we can now show that these leaders, in a lot of cases, are put through specific regimens of traumatization to purposefully disconnect themselves from you so that they can do what they need to do. Okay, now that you understand that, are they fit to be your leaders? And the moment you can put that in people's minds, they go, oh shit, maybe not. Right? So for me, that's the purpose of exploring that. Now, that's not always obvious. And we can get into these states of, and this is normal and this is okay, of anger about the fact that this stuff's happening. But at some point we have to move through and we need to find what is the nugget here? What are we learning from this situation that brings us back to value and progress of moving forward? Because if we just say we want to throw them all in jail or kill them all, that's one thing. That's a possibility. You could do that. That might be playing their game. Or we could say, well, hold on a second. There are going to be people in society, no matter what, who've gone through really challenging experiences. Look at the way, for example, we treat pedophiles. We say, okay, here's a pedophile. Let's take them. Let's throw them into prison. And then however many years they're done their service, they've probably gotten worse in prison. And then we're going to release them to society. So how did we help the situation by taking what we believe is a terrible person, putting them into prison, and then re-releasing them worse than they were before? This way we can say, okay, this is not a desirable thing in our community. We need to do something about this. How can we understand what's going on, create an environment where these people can heal, right? This is where trauma-informed prison, trauma-informed healing with people, where you can isolate them in the way so that they can't cause harm to other people, but we can actually help them from a loving point of view versus they're trash, let's throw them in the garbage, which is just something that I can't get on board with as a person. So for me, this is the importance of understanding some of these things as they relate to our society and our leadership.